For the purpose of our discussions, we will use Sun's definition of misbehavior, which states unruly behavior which up campus teaching and learning. Mag's definition of punishment shows it decreases the probability that the behavior it follows will reoccur. Furthermore, Riordan et al. Describes positive reinforcement as an effective means for increasing the future occurrence of a response when a behavior is followed immediately by presentation of a stimulus. Dealing with misbehavior in the classroom leads to higher levels of stress and teacher burnout. Teachers with negative coping skills for dealing with this stress are more likely to use punishment as a form of classroom management. Often this punishment is linked to teacher aggression, because teachers are reacting to a situation and students perceive that teachers do not administer punishment fairly. This is a significant finding, as it is obvious that perceived aggression of teachers would have an effect of teacher-student relationships. ASSIGNMENT found that positive relationships between adolescents and educators has a large role in adolescent development. Similarly, Danny found that building positive relationships and promoting trust within students can provide students with protective factors that create healthy and functioning adulthood. Emily found that literature showed punishment is used more frequently than teachers realized. Danny found that this could be limited by improving teacher conflict resolution and self-control, which is linked to Emily's findings of teachers' negative coping skills, including the use of punishment. Emily found that literature showed punishment may have short-term benefits for classroom management. However, it is ineffective as a long-term management strategy. ASSIGNMENT's findings were similar. While she found that punishment has a significant impact on students' self-esteem and could often alienate students. Positive reinforcement, on the other hand, increased students' positive behaviors as well as enhanced their academic performance. Danny's findings from the literature review also found that positive reinforcement improved students' academic work, but also increased students' on-task behavior as well as their ability to follow instructions. Our literature reviews highlight the importance of classroom management as a focus for our action research project. Given the frequency of misbehavior and the levels of stress that misbehavior produces, it is important that teachers are provided with the knowledge to deal with this behavior in the most effective way.
Synthesis of data findings. Emily found that misbehavior was occurring in all classrooms and for 50% of teachers. This was their biggest concerns in their jobs. Emily's findings were in line with Danny's literature review. In a survey of 10 teachers, 10 found that punishment was effective. There were various types of punishments used, with the most popular of keeping students in at recess and lunch. While Emily's literature review found that students perceived punishment to be unfair, it's been found that most teachers administered punishment fairly. So 70% never applied punishment to the whole class because of the behavior of one student. ASSIGNMENT's research highlighted the importance of fair punishment and the need of a clear classroom expectation so that students understood the expected behavior. Even still, ASSIGNMENT's observation found that the ongoing use of punishment impacted on a student's achievement and long-term well-being. So students who experience over-punishment will also express hesitation and dejection when they try to learn new activities in the classroom. This will eventually lead to bigger application and may lead to violence later. Students can also remain absent for a while from school, therefore they will feel more withdrawal from the school. ASSIGNMENT's observation found that positive reinforcement created a positive environment in the classroom for students to learn. So the teacher who uses a positive reinforcement in the classroom will apparently increases the positive behavior from their students. Therefore, students' response will be completely different when the teacher utilizes a positive reinforcement in the classroom. They will also show more motivation to learn as well as participated in the lesson's task, and eventually there will be a decrease in inappropriate behavior. Danny found similar results from his interviews with teachers where using a reward system, the need to promote students to do the right thing was reduced by 47%. Danny found that positive reinforcement was highly effective. Emily data was similar, where all teachers use punishment, all teachers also use a positive reinforcement, and all 10 believed that positive reinforcement was more effective than punishment. Danny found from his interviews that the most effective strategies of positive reinforcement included natural and direct reinforcement, social reinforces, activity reinforces, tangible reinforces, and token reinforces. Although all teachers in Emily's survey reported to using punishment frequently, Danny found that teachers who continue to evaluate their own teaching practices increase the rate of positive reinforcement.
The findings of both our collective literature reviews and our data collection and analysis demonstrated that teachers used punishment in the classroom. However, overwhelmingly, the literature demonstrated that it was simply a short-term strategy for managing behaviour and not a long-term solution. In Emily's survey, teachers were asked after punishing a student what was the likelihood of misbehaviour reoccurring in the same lesson, to which 50% of teachers said unlikely and 40% were neutral. However, when asked whether misbehaviour would occur in a future lesson, 50% of teachers again responded that it was unlikely. However, 40% of teachers moved to saying that it would be likely that misbehaviour occurs again. Misbehaviour interrupts the learning opportunities that students have available to them, and therefore, more long-term solutions are necessary. Our collective findings highlighted the effectiveness of positive reinforcement as a behaviour management strategy, with both teachers and students preferring positive reinforcement and also finding positive reinforcement more effective in the long run. Both Danny and Asma's data highlighted how important positive reinforcement was for improved teacher-student relationships as well as a more positive class environment. This is opposed to the use of punishment, which students perceive was linked to teacher aggression, and it also serves to alienate students and can impact on their well-being. We felt that our data answered our original research question. That is, was the use of positive reinforcement or punishment more effective for behaviour management? One of the key themes in our data was the improved teacher-student relations and improved classroom environment when using positive reinforcement. Given that the overwhelming benefits of positive reinforcement on the classroom environment were made clear from our research, we wanted to determine what other aspects of the classroom could be improved by positive reinforcement. Therefore, our research question is as follows. Does the use of positive reinforcement improve student academic achievements? Given that we have found positive reinforcement improves the classroom environment, we believe that positive reinforcement should contribute to academic improvements for students. Initially, we thought that we could pose a similar research question to our initial one and ask, is the use of punishment or positive reinforcement more effective for improving academic achievement? However, given our findings about the use of punishment on student well-being, we believe that in considerations of the ethical principles of research and that as researchers we should do no harm, we decided that punishment was not appropriate for our new action research project. Instead, we would focus solely on positive reinforcement. We will use the same definition of positive reinforcement that we have referred to in our presentation from Fjorden et al., that positive reinforcement increases the likelihood a behaviour will occur because it is immediately followed by a stimulus. Teachers have a variety of behaviour management strategies that they use in a classroom, which include both punishment and positive reinforcement. However, a school-based system is also in place. In order to study the effect of positive reinforcement, we will introduce the same standardised reward system in 10 different Stage 4 classrooms across different Western Sydney schools, as this was where our first research took place. A standardised system will ensure we remove any bias of a school-based behaviour management system and also limit the variability of individual teacher strategies. Using tangible reinforcement, students will receive points for good behaviour. Once they have earned a certain number of points, they will be able to redeem these points to collect a reward like chocolate or free time in class. In order to allow for a more in-depth understanding of our research and allow for deeper analysis, we will collect 3 different types of data. Quantitative data will be collected as we will gather student test results prior to the introduction of the reward system. As students progress throughout the course of the study, which will last for around 6 months, we will continue to collect their test results. This data will be able to be analysed in order to determine whether improvements have been made both at an individual level and at a class level. Artefacts and samples of work will also serve as qualitative data for analysis. Student work will be collected at various stages throughout the project in order to be analysed for improvements such as improved literacy or grammar or evidence of higher order thinking. We will also use interviews as another form of qualitative data, which will be an essential contribution to our research project. While the test scores will show academic improvement, we believe interviewing teachers to gain an insight into their beliefs about how their students are progressing academically is essential. We will interview teachers about the use of positive reinforcement in their classroom and the effect that they believe this has had on their students' achievement. Qualitative data like this will allow us to shed light on specific cases and explain how individual students may have improved or not improved since the reward system was implemented. We would also interview teachers about how they have found applying the reward system in their classrooms. This would enable us to demonstrate whether this is a viable option for future teachers. The interviews will take place halfway through the 6-month research project and again at the end of the project. These interviews will be coded in order to organise our data into common themes across all teacher interviews. Surveys will also be used in this research project, as we believe it is essential that we consider the student perspective about the use of positive reinforcement in their classroom and their own perceptions of whether this has helped contribute to their academic achievements throughout the course of the research project. These surveys will ask students to reflect on their own academic achievements and whether they feel like they have been improved and why this is the case. The survey will use a mix of Likert scale questions as well as open-ended questions to allow for a deeper understanding. We will find the mean scores from the Likert scale questions and open-ended questions will be coded. After our data collection is complete, we will be able to analyse the data and then triangulate the data we have collected. This will allow for more reliable information, and therefore we will be able to report on our findings. In order to ensure that our action research project is ethical, all teacher participants and their students will need to sign consent forms to participate in our research project. As secondary students cannot sign their own consent forms, these will need to be sent home for parents to sign. Teachers and/or students will be able to withdraw from our study at any time, and they will be informed of this before consenting to the project. We believe that this is a highly important action research project. This will encourage the use of positive reinforcement, which has been shown to be a highly effective behaviour management strategy. Furthermore, it is beneficial because our data has showed us that teachers wish to use it more frequently. Academic improvement for students is critical not only for them, but for their teachers and their parents. We believe that the findings of this study would be beneficial to the entire education community.